Hey, do you know who Byron Murphy, Johnny Newton, and Brandon Fisk are? Well, you're about to find out. This is RamView.
It's hot out there, but let's blow them off the line of scrimmage. Headline, Los Angeles.
Live from the Ram Cave, I'm Joe Terosian, and this is RamView, the March 15th, 2024 edition, brought to you by Kistler Law Firm. Injured in an auto accident? Need help? Got questions? Call Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. That's Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. And check out KistlerLawFirm.com. That's one word. KistlerLawFirm.com. Kistler Law, they've been fighting for you since 92. And by Temple City Auto Repair. Having some auto issues? Get yourself some John and Henry at TempleCityAutoRepair.com. And of course, by Granite Ridge Christian Camp, a place where your life can change. Well, I'd like to thank Aaron Donald, Les Snead, Sean McVay, and the entire Rams organization for basically writing Friday's show, right? They set this all thing up to where all we have to do is just look and react instead of really digging too deep in everything. So on Wednesday, we asked the question, if the Rams won the Super Bowl, would we extend Aaron Donald? Would you want to extend Aaron Donald when he's 34 to another 3 years? Because he would be a free agent going into 2025, and the Rams would be kind of caught between a rock and a hard place. Then yesterday, it breaks that Aaron Donald does the Rams a solid and redoes his contract, frees up 19.2 more rocks for the Rams to work with. And then this morning, the news pops, right? Aaron Donald is retiring. When I first saw it, I thought it was one of the fake news things that Steeler fan Rob in Missouri sends. So I did a double check, and of course it was blasted all over social media. And so it happened. Aaron Donald announced his retirement. And I will get to all the questions. I got a little bit of a blast a couple episodes ago. We'll get to the questions. Let me get through this Aaron Donald part. If you have questions then, if not, we'll do it in our standard space at the break, right in the middle of the show. But Aaron Donald has 10 years in the league, 2 Super Bowls, 1 ring, 3 Defensive Player of the Year awards. What is he, an 8-time All-Pro? Not Pro Bowl, but All-Pro. He's made over 155 rocks, surefire ballot Hall of Famer. I get it. Let's get out before everything starts falling apart. Let's spend time with kids and family. It all makes sense. God bless and Godspeed, right? I'm all down with it. So with that said, I still can't get past something just seems off, right? It just seems off. With the way the Rams are trending in 2024, if this was 2023, I could get it because very few people had any optimism for 2023. But the way the Rams are trending in 2024, a definite Super Bowl contender, to believe he's retiring means he literally has 0 left in the tank, which if you got 0 left in the tank, to paraphrase Dennis Hara back in the day, when your butt kicker is gone, it's time to get out of the game. And if he's at a point where he has 0 left in the tank, then it is definitely time to walk away. If so, I give him credit for what he did last year when there was no expectation. And again, the solid of restructuring his contract before the announcement. But where I break away in wrapping my head around this whole thing is the competitor that Aaron Donald is, right? Leaving as the Rams have become a legitimate contender. It just seems awkward, right? It just seems awkward. Now, again, everything looks like maybe it was in the works and stuff, but you always had that little feeling after Chris Jones signed his contract in KC. He made a little less than Nick Bosa, a little bit more than Aaron Donald, that you got the feeling that maybe Aaron Donald would want something. I don't want to pin that on him, but I don't know. I don't know what to think. So here's what I'm doing. I'm going to keep this thing in pencil until the draft, right? And then between now and the draft, we'll see what the Rams are doing and the moves they're making. And then I'll put it in ink. But if Tom Brady can retire and come back within a month or so, the Tom Brady of the defensive side of the football in this generation, Aaron Donald, I think he has the ability to do the same. Just my thinking. I know everyone. Well, I'll get into that, but long shot. Could he decide to take the season off and not take the wear and tear and be fresh and ready if the Rams are still in contention with no aberrations there in December, and then come back in as a ball of fire the last 2 months of the season? Is that a possibility? Could he pull a high-end version of Eric Weddle? Yeah, I think that's possible. But this is not a case of me not wanting it to be true, because players come and go, right? We learn this when we're young, right? It's part of the emotional contract we sign when we become fans. Life goes on. The wheel in the sky keeps turning. If the Rams could move off Harold Jackson, if Merlin Olsen can retire, if they could trade a Deacon Jones, if these things can happen, if Robert Woods could go away, if Todd Gurley could go away, then you know what? Aaron Donald can go away too. It's a bummer. No one wants it to happen. I'm just having a hard time getting my head around it. I'm not sad. I'm not emotional. I'm not any of those things. To quote the famous line, "The powerful play goes on," right? And so I think he could be back. I do. I just have this feeling. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. We'll find out in the next 4 weeks, the draft. We'll see where the Rams are at and what they go after. So, like I said, it's without emotion. I'm keeping this in lead and not ink. So in a minute, we'll look at the defensive line room and see who's there. And if possible, we'll press on and look at the other stuff in the Rams, in going on with the Rams, because they've done a lot of stuff since Wednesday. Real quick, let's just look at Aaron Donald stuff, and I'll answer some questions about Aaron Donald. This is G's Nuts. Like the safety pickup, but man, sad about AD leaving this year. Yeah, it is. It's a big deal. Bill, the world is coming to an end. OMG, the GOAT is done, but not forgotten. All right, Bill, every true Ram fan will remember where they were when Donald announced his retirement. Yep, that's true. Yeah, I'm definitely pumped about the moves. This is G's Nuts. We are making more sense if he would have retired last year. Speaking of Aaron Donald, this is G's Nuts. But it makes a lot of sense if he feels he cannot play at the same level as Given. Tim Burns, okay, crying is over. I'm a homer. How much do we save on the salary cap? G's Nuts, like that Weddle thought. He comes back to make a Super Bowl run. I like that thought too. I think, again, I don't think he caught Les Snead and McVay off guard. So I'm guessing part of this deal, this departure thing, if it is, was this restructure. And so they did the restructure and the Rams got $9 million. And so if you think of the $9 million they got and then the other restructures, it put them in pretty good stead to sign their draft class. Maybe they make that move on Curl and go forward. So more questions, guys. Feel free to shoot them at me if you got them. We'll just keep pressing forward here. Joe Noteboom restructured his contract. It goes from 20 rocks this year to 11.6 in 2024. This gives the Rams 8.4 more rocks to work with, and that, along with Donald's 9.2, puts them in that 17.5 range, and that gave them the ability to sign Curl. They're probably going to need between 11 and 12, I think, to sign the draft class. I'm not sure about that, but it is something to think about. That I don't know if there's anything else out there free agency wise right now. That draft becomes a big deal, and I understand a day fraught with fear and sadness, right? But I wanted Noteboom back. I'm kind of happy about Noteboom being back, right? He probably looked at his options, saw his age, and took the restructure. The Rams give him a chance to get another ring, and because it's the NFL If this front line goes 17 weeks with no injuries, great. But even if there's no injuries, there's going to be linemen there looking to get spelled, from Havenstein to Jackson to, well, either Jackson and, of course, Dotson. Keeping Noteboom gives the Rams a significant depth piece that's able to cover 4/5 of the offensive line spots. So I'm happy they worked out keeping Joe Noteboom. And it's still, 11 rocks is a lot to pay a backup swing tackle and guard, but it's doable. And this, of course, opened the door for Cameron Curl to sign. Now, Cameron Curl, it's 2 years up to 13 rocks. So that's the potential with incentives. The Rams haven't broken precedent here by giving a second big contract to somebody, but they have broken precedent in the sense that this is the first significant free agent safety signing in decades by the Rams. Now, you could say Eric Weddle in 2019, but Eric Weddle was at the end of his run, and he signed a 2-year deal, and we know he retired after the 2019 season before that gourmet cup of coffee he took with the team in 2021. There's cups of coffee, and then there's gourmet cups of coffee, right? And Eric Weddle sprung that gourmet stuff on the Rams in the 2021 postseason. But Curl's 24, going to be 25, I think, when the season starts. 7th round pick in the 2020 draft by the Taxkins. And that's the same draft the Rams took Jordan Fuller in at number 199. Curl's only missed 5 games in 4 seasons, hasn't picked off a pass since 2020. I'm not so up about that in regards to my safeties, but it is something to think about. He's played 60 games, started 53. By comparison, I think Jordan Fuller's only played 48. He's not Nolan Cromwell, but he's an upgrade. And his price range, even if he gets 13 rocks, is what? 6.5 rocks a season. That's not a whole lot for a safety. That's the kind of money you pay a safety these days in the NFL. And I will say, Cameron Curl, unless one of you guys want to admit to it, I won't. I can't. He was nowhere on my radar. I thought the Rams would draft another safety and start the dance with some hybrid, some combination of Quentin Lake, Russ Yeast, and Jason Taylor. That's what I thought. And JJ coming back. I think this definitely moves Jordan Fuller out of the realm of a return. I don't think it does John Johnson, because if he comes back, he's going to come back for the veterans minimum. Wasn't on my radar, but you know what? I'll dance. I like it. I like the move. In other news in Rams, they brought Christian Roseboom back. We talked about that when Jonah Williams, Roseboom, and Hoyt were not tendered. We assumed that maybe one of them would be back, and it's 2 of them. Hoyt's back, and so is Roseboom. Another thing that took place, the NFL had a mistake in terms when it set its final draft order. I don't know if you saw this. There was something the Bengals got messed over in something. So they got moved to, I think, the 98th pick, and the Rams and everybody else after that was pushed back one draft pick. So the Rams have 19, 52, 83. And instead of 98, they got 99. And instead of 153 and 154, they got 154 and 155. Then they're at 189, 209, 213, 217, and 254. Just wanted to get that in there real quick. Promise, guys, we'll get to more questions here in a minute. Around the NFL and other places, boy, the Harbaugh effect is going strong in Boltland. Khalil Mack restructured. Someone told me Joey Bosa did, but I didn't see it. I should have dug deeper. If Joey Bosa restructured, let me know. But Gerald Everett left, signed with the Bears. And then, of course, Keenan Allen last night was traded to the Bears for a 4th-round pick. Now, think about this. Why is Keenan Allen only worth a 4th-round pick? Well, 1, a little bit long in the tooth. 2, he's getting, he gets banged up quite a bit. But here's the 3rd. He's an elite receiver. If there were really Charger fans that I knew, right? Real Charger fans. I don't know too many of them. I haven't met many. They got to feel about Keenan Allen the way Ram fans feel about Cooper Kupp. Keenan Allen's amazing, but he only fetched a 4th-round pick. Does that tell you what the market is like for receivers now and what that market is like for receivers with a huge draft class coming in. You don't have to fret if you don't get a receiver in the first round. There are receivers everywhere, right? So the Bears get Gerald Everett and Keenan Allen. Austin Eckler signed with the Texans, and Mike Williams is available. You know, they had to do some serious shredding there in Boltland, and they've signed Gus Edwards, and I can see them going after another back, another lineman, and they're going to play some Harbaugh ball before this thing is over. A.J. Dillon re-signs with the Packers. Big signing here, I thought. Chiefs signed Hollywood Brown. Hollywood Brown, I thought, was a whiff in Baltimore. I don't know if he ever got a chance in Arizona, but now Hollywood Brown, for $7 rocks, gets an opportunity to resurrect his career in KC, catching passes, being the burner for Patrick Mahomes. So that's a pretty good deal there for both the team and the player. The Falcons trade Desmond Ridder to Arizona for Rondale Moore. And Rondale Moore was a guy Cardinal fans have been waiting for a long time, and they finally gave up. They've moved him east. Desmond Ridder is coming west to likely be a backup for Kyler Murray. Von Bell, safety, returns to Cincinnati. Bengals signed tight end Mike Gesicki and running back Zach Moss. Vikings signed former Raider Jerry Tillery. Eagles signed former Buck linebacker Devin White. Taxkins trade Sam Howell to Seattle. Seattle gets Howell, a 4th and a 6th. The Taxkins get a 3rd and a 5th in this deal. Taxkins also signed Marcus Mariota. You know he's not going to be the starter. He's going to be backing up Jaden Daniels, and he's going to be a mobile quarterback that can back up the mobile quarterback they're going to draft. Jaguars signed Eric Armstead, the former 49er, and the Giants have locked up Drew Lock as their backup to Daniel Jones. I love these quarterbacks becoming backups because the backup quarterback market is becoming covered, and that's less places for an unsigned Carson Wentz to go. Kenny Pickett traded by the Steelers. Steeler fan Rob, I don't know how Steeler fan Rob in Missouri feels about this. Pittsburgh is getting a 3rd-round pick this year, number 98, and 2 7th-rounders in 2025, and they're sending a 4th round, 120th overall, to Philly along with Pickett. Pickett, of course, is not going to start in Philly. He's got to beat out Tanner McKee, so it's interesting to see what's going to happen there with the Eagles. And Kenny Pickett means Russell Wilson is the guy. Russell Wilson is the guy there in Pittsburgh. The Vikings trade a 1st round. The Vikings trade with Houston to get Houston's 1st round pick. I believe it's 23rd overall and a 7th round pick. The Texans take the Vikings 42nd and 6th round pick this year and a 2nd round pick in 2025. I think it's a good deal for the Vikes, but because they need a quarterback. But if I'm Houston, I could see trading back out of this year's draft, but not out of, trading back in this year's draft, but not trading out of this year's draft. Literally all they're picking up for this year is Minnesota's 42nd overall pick. And this year's draft is loaded. And I think I would have kept as many multiple picks as I could in the first 100 instead of trading back. But hey, Houston knows what it's doing. I'm Joe Terosian. I was a sports writer for 21 years. And now I do RamView, and I write books. And you can find my books on Amazon under my name. Just look them up there. And also right here on YouTube, we do RamView Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We also do it on Spotify. You can check us out over there. We thank you for those that have signed up and started following. It is great to have you along with us. I do this because my day job is I pastor a small church in Burbank Faith Nazarene, as well as we've got a Burbank Faith virtual channel right here on YouTube, Burbank Faith Virtual, and on Facebook, Twitter, all over social media, so you can check us out. Let's see if we've added any questions. Bill, I wish he would have announced this before free agency. Yeah, I'm not sure what the planning what the planning was there in regards to when you do it. I mean, when they go to restructure again. I think obviously the restructure to me is a sign that they had been in discussion about this, and And so we'll see. We'll see where it's at right now. Brian B. Rams planning to build the D now. Well, yeah, if you still had Aaron Donald, and like I said, I got Aaron Donald still on this team in pencil. But they've upgraded the safeties. They've upgraded corner. They've upgraded the offensive line. They've maintained the receiving staff. They've upgraded the tight ends. And it was really like, hey, let's get that edge guy. Let's get that edge guy and maybe a linebacker to play alongside Ernest Jones in the draft. Or right now, maybe it's going to be Christian Roseboom or Jake Hummel, but we know what that is. If anything happens to Ernest Jones, there's going to be a world of hurt we're in. But yeah, they're going to be building that D. And remember, we were speculating, and I'm going to get into this in a second here. We were speculating on Wednesday, could the Rams, and we didn't know anything about Aaron Donald retiring, but we were speculating, could the Rams maybe move back in the draft, pick up a Bubba, get one of those run-stuffing fat guys that just eat up a lot of space to insert in that defensive line, because Bobby Brown's been good. Well, he's been better, had a good year last year. But he's a free agent after this year. And so the Rams do need some depth along that defensive line. And we're going to talk about that right now. Bill, Rams have $27 million to play with, according to Over the Cap. Is that current? Has that been adjusted? That seems awful high, Bill. Maybe that's what it is. I thought it would be closer to 17 before signing Curl. But yeah, maybe that's what it is. I'll double check that because I don't know if that's fully reflective of everything. But I go to Over the Cap and Spot Track. They both vary a little bit. There were just so many moves the Rams have made, I've kind of lost track. Tim Burns, Dorius out of Oregon. You're talking about Brandon Dorius, huh? Dorless, 6'3", 290, right? Yeah, see, I'm on that one, Mr. Burns. Okay, guys, like I said, if you have any more questions, let me know. We'll fire away at them. But in the house right now for the Rams along that defensive line is Kobe Turner, Bobby Brown III, DeJuan Johnson, and Corey Durden. That's it. There's no Aaron. Well, I'm keeping Aaron Donald in pencil, but we know there's no Aaron Donald, no Larrell Murchison, no Jonah Williams, and even Marquise Copeland is gone from the practice squad. So the speculation on Wednesday about drafting a DT, an interior defensive lineman, either in the first round or moving back and then taking one, because you don't want to draft one too high. Byron Murphy out of Texas is the hot interior defender that is projecting into the first round this year. But he's somewhere between 15 and 25, right? And you definitely don't want to draft a guy too early if you can get him at, 10 picks cheaper, and move back a little bit. But the interior defenders that are listed as first-round candidates are Byron Murphy II out of Texas, 6'1", 308. I've seen him listed at 295, but he's the definite first-rounder. And then the one that's in the late first round and is kind of creeping up in the draft is Jerzon or Johnny Newton out of Illinois, 6'2", 295. Those are the first-round projected guys. Second-round projectors are Florida State's Brandon Fisk, 6'5", 297. I like the height, but you don't want him too tall, right? Some of those interior guys, you want them that stubby 6'2", 6 foot kind of height there because they have better leverage on the ground. My thoughts, anyway. Clemson's Ruke Orahoro, 6'4", 295. These guys are third-rounder projects. Michigan's Chris Jenkins, 6'3", 305. Oregon's Brandon Dorless, Mr. Burns' guy, 6'3", 290. And Texas DT running mate with Byron Murphy, Tavondre Sweat. Now, Tavondre Sweat is the guy that I got in mind. 6'4", 362. Break me off some of that, right? 6'4", 362. This is a dude that interests me, right? And also, I wouldn't doubt the Rams drafting another DT, draft one early, draft one late, if Donald's retirement holds up. But Tavondre Sweat was the guy that was kind of in my mind, maybe to be the replacement for Bobby Brown. His best year was his senior year. Now, was he benefiting maybe from playing alongside Byron Murphy, maybe, absolutely. Did Kobe Durant benefit from playing alongside Aaron Donald? Of course, the whole team did. But T'Vondre Sweat, in that third round, maybe second round, is somebody to keep an eye on, or I would want the Rams to keep an eye on if we're building for the future, as Brian B has suggested and has said that's where it better be. I will say this too. if Tom Brady can come back, so can Aaron Donald. But I will say this. I love Aaron Donald to the moon and back, right? Okay, we got all that cliche stuff out of the way. I'm not, whatever. But here's my deal. If he's playing games, if he's kind of wondering if or what, you ever had to recruit somebody, talk to somebody, get somebody that maybe you wanted to hire or somebody to work with you, and they're kind of 1 foot in, 2 feet out, 2 feet in, 1 foot out, and they're kind of hemming and hawing. And to me, I don't want a guy that's playing games, right? If he's going to retire and the Rams are moving forward as of right now, then I want him to stay retired. He can come back in for a gourmet cup of coffee in December, but stay retired. Because when a guy's playing games like that, his head's not right. And sooner or later, it's going to catch up, right? And so yeah, I want him back. I want him back, but I want him all in, right? I don't want, I'll just have to retire again or, play these games where he goes back and forth, back and forth. To me, when you start going back and forth, I don't have the patience, so I'm just going to move on. And I'll take something a little less that I can count on than something great that I can't count on, right? And I don't know where Aaron Donald's at. I don't know what he's thinking. The retirement just seemed really kind of fishy to me a little bit, especially, again, you have an opportunity this year with better players around him to not only have another great season, not only to pad your numbers, but to get another ring and move into that, if he's not there already, that Reggie White, Lawrence Taylor realm. And I'm sure he's already there, but it puts you a little bit higher in that small circle of elite defenders in the last 40 to 50 years, right? I mean, that's how great Aaron Donald has been. So I just don't get having zero in the tank. I just don't. I don't get it. If it's true, it's true, but I just don't get it. And so that's why it's all in pencil until the draft, and then seeing what the Rams do. Then I'll put it in ink. Okay. All right. Looking at the CBS Sports mock draft, reflecting some of free agency, reflecting the Houston trade with Minnesota, reflecting a Charger trade with Minnesota to move up. This is what CBS Sports Josh Edwards mock draft looks like. Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, Chicago, Washington, New England, Arizona. That thing's not budging. Number 5, we've seen Rome Odunze, Malik Neighbors, Joe Alt, and now we're seeing, in the last 2 mock drafts, I've seen J.J. McCarthy. J.J. McCarthy at being the 4th quarterback taken in the first 5 picks. This would be by Minnesota trading up. Number 6 to the Giants, Malik Neighbors. Number 7, Joe Alt. That is the most consistent thing I've seen on the draft board. Dallas Turner to the Falcons at 8. Rome Odunze with DJ Moore, Caleb Williams, Keenan Allen, and Rome Odunze. Forgive me. That would make Chicago pretty devastating if they can figure it out. Olam Fashional, Penn State, to the Jets at number 10. The Bolts with the number 11 pick now, taking Oregon State's Talise Fuaga. And that one would be a beast, right? That would be a beast. That's the kind of player you would expect Harbaugh to take. Cincy making a deal to move up to number 12 would take Brock Bowers. Las Vegas taking J.C. Latham, the Alabama OT, the offensive tackle. New Orleans taking Brian Thomas, the receiver, LSU. Indy taking Jared Verse. Pittsburgh taking Amarius Mims, the tackle. Jaguars taking Quinyon Mitchell. This is the first time I've seen Quinyon Mitchell go back in a draft at number 17. Broncos, because of the trades, taking Bo Nix at number 18. And then this is the first time I've seen this one. CBS Josh Edwards projects the Rams taking Alabama cornerback Terrion Arnold and with the number 19 overall pick. And that's interesting because this mock draft came out this morning, and so it had to reflect in his thinking the signing of Darius Williams. And again, something to think about. Seattle in the trades, moving to number 20 instead of Pittsburgh. They're taking Troy Fontenot out of Washington. Byron Murphy going to Miami at 21. Leatu Leatu going to Philly at 22. Kool-Aid McKinstry going to the Bolts at 23. Jackson Powers Johnson going to the Cowboys at 24. And a new name for the Packers at number 25. I've not seen this name in the first round. Kingsley Sumatatea, offensive tackle, 6'6", 325 out of BYU. First time I've seen him in the first round. Graham Barton, interior lineman, number 26 to Tampa Bay. Barton's interesting because he was first round early, and for the last month or so, he's been in the second round. Lately, he's been back in the first round. Arizona, number 27, taking a Tim Burns special, Chop Robinson. Buffalo, number 28, to go with Stephon Edwards and the recently signed, who was it? Curtis Conway out of Washington with the Texans. The Bills signed him, and then it has them taking Adonai Mitchell out of Texas to beef up that receiving core for Josh Allen. Number 29, Nate Wiggins out of Clemson going to Baltimore, going to Detroit. Tyler Guyton, the offensive lineman, going to Baltimore at 30. Baltimore's going to need help because I think 3/5 of their offensive line has moved on. Johnny Newton, who we just talked about, Jerzon Newton out of Illinois, going to Frisco at 31. And back in the first round, number 32, Keon Coleman, Florida State, going to KC. So they would have Rashid Rice, they would have Hollywood Brown, and then they would have Keon Coleman as weapons for Patrick Mahomes. All right, I think we've blasted through there. We've looked at all these teams, the 49ers, Cardinals, Seahawks, Bears, Lions, Patriots, Jets, Saints, Packers, Lions, Vikings, and now we're going to look at the Bills. But I'm going to save that until Monday when we look at the Bills. Just get a little more settled water here in terms of all the free agency and the trades. There have been a lot of trades that normally you don't see. Interesting enough, on this date in Rams history, the Rams acquired kicker David Ray from the Browns in 1966. They signed Cortland Finnegan. On this day in 2020, Cortland Finnegan in 2012. In 2021, on this day, it was a bloodbath. Rams had just gone to the second round of the playoffs. Remember, they won in Seattle, and then they lost in Green Bay. Aaron Donald was injured in that game. He had the rib injury, and then Cooper Kupp didn't even play because he had hurt his knee. But after that season, when the new year began, the Rams cut, on this day in 2021, Austin Blythe, Blake Bortles, Jake McQuaid, Johnny Johnson III. Actually, Johnny Johnson III became a free agent. Josh Reynolds, these guys were all free agents, not cut. Morgan Fox, Samson Ebukam, Troy Hill, and Malcolm Brown, they all became unrestricted free agents. On this day in 2022, Andrew Whitworth retired. On this day last year in 2023, the Rams released Bobby Morgan, let alone Ashawn Robinson, Baker Mayfield, Chandler Brewer, David Edwards, David Long, Greg Gaines, John Wolford, Matt Gay, Nick Scott, Taylor Rapp. They all became free agents. And also they finalized the deal for Jalen Ramsey going to Miami on a year ago on this day. That pick the Rams got from Miami, third round, number 77 overall, that was turned into Byron Young. So there was some benefit to that deal. But on successive years where Andrew Whitworth retires, Bobby Wagner released, on the same day in 2024, Aaron Donald announces his retirement. A couple of quick things to throw out there. 98 years ago on this day, Norm Van Brocklin was born, Hall of Fame quarterback for the Rams. And also on this day in 1937, Dick Bass, Scooter Bass, one of the first great Ram backs of the modern era that excelled. Modern era to me is the Super Bowl era, 1966 forward. Before we get to Lawrence McCutcheon, we have to acknowledge Dick Bass. And Dick Bass, and some of the highlights, he might have a little Kyrene Williams, or Kyrene Williams might have a little Dick Bass in him. Anyway, wanted to throw that out there. We get to the rest of that stuff on Monday. There's nothing else heavy there. Let's see if there's any questions left that we can get into with you guys. Let's see. A divided heart, Tim Powers, a divided heart leads to misery. So, Mr. Powers, would you be in agreement with me in in regards to Aaron Donald, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. USA expat Garoppolo, now a Ram. Wow, what a day! Rams signed Jimmy Garoppolo. Wow, and it's been confirmed. Thank you, Bill. Oh wow, the Rams signed Jimmy G. You know what? If Jimmy G is not my starter, I love Jimmy G. Right? It makes sense. He's safe. He's consistent. I'm just really curious what Carson Wentz is thinking. I'm not complaining about Jimmy G. Thank you guys for the update. I'm not complaining about Jimmy G. Can I say it one more time? Not complaining. I think Carson Wentz is better. I do. But I want to know, what was Carson Wentz, what were his people holding out for, right? Who are they holding out for? Who do they want? Where do they want to go? Seattle seems supremely committed to Geno Smith, and I don't understand why. Frisco's got Purdy. Rams, of course, we know where the Rams are at. And then Arizona's fully committed to Kyler Murray. They just made a move for Desmond Ridder to be their backup. Who's the backup now to Brock Purdy? Does Brock Purdy have a backup right now? I'd be curious. Minnesota, they're going to be after a quarterback. They got Sam Darnold. They could be drafting a quarterback. Chicago's got Justin Fields and Caleb Williams on the way. Packers have Jordan Love. He doesn't look like he's going anywhere. The Lions have Jared Goff. Where is Carson Wentz going to go, and how much was he asking for? Because I prefer to have Carson Wentz than Jimmy G, but I'm not complaining about Jimmy G. Okay. Online poll says 65%. This is from Bill. 65% of Rams fans dislike the move in regards to Jimmy G. I get it. I do. I get it. But they're probably getting him for a song. Tim Powers, in regards to a divided heart, I asked him for his thoughts, and he says it didn't work for Tom Brady. He did get to the playoffs. But he lost to the Cowboys, and that's no way to end your career, right? Again, I'm just looking at this backup quarterback market and starting quarterback market, and I'm just having a hard time. I really thought Wentz was coming back. I really did. But Jimmy G looks like he's going to be the guy, and that's okay, right? We can't complain. It's not Brett Rippon. It's not John Wolford, right? It's not Blake Bortles. Think about this. When have the Rams had a competent backup quarterback, right? It's been a long, long time. If you want to say Case Keenum, you can say Case Keenum, but he started more games, than our starters during that time. He was a starter. So Rams haven't had a competent backup, and at least Jimmy G brings some, stability a little bit, confidence that, hey, we need a win. This guy can go out and get it. Again, I think I would have preferred Carson Wentz. All right. Moving right along here. I think we've got most of this show in. I think a couple things when I think of Aaron Donald is I think that he was great even when the teams were bad. Final thoughts about Aaron Donald. He was great even when the teams were bad, right? You never saw him take a play off, right? Maybe it's his legacy. Might be Geno Smith's crying, "Oh my God," when he saw Aaron Donald bearing in on him in Week 1 last year. That might be, he got the big play on Jimmy G in the NFC Championship game. He got the big play on Joe Burrow in the Super Bowl. But maybe it might be for me, just Geno Smith yelling "OMG" when he saw Aaron Donald beaten down on him. You got to remember Aaron Donald, where he was drafted by the Rams. Was it 13th overall? They had already drafted, Greg Robinson, and he was a bust. He just was great. You can't say anything bad about Aaron Donald. You just can't, on the field. Is he into it anymore? I don't know. Is he into the dough? He wants more dough? I don't know. I just have a hard time believing, again, that the tank is empty. I just do. I just have a hard time believing the tank is empty. But I will say this, even if Aaron Donald is coming back, if I'm the Rams, I know we need edge. It's a deep draft. But I would certainly look at one of those defensive linemen we mentioned, particularly my good friend Tavondre Sweat. I want to see him in a Ram uniform, and he was the one I was leaning to. Okay, guys, I think I've got all my stuff shot out there. If you guys have anything else you want to stick, I'll stick around for another minute or so. I'm happy to. But I basically, this was a day dominated by Aaron Donald. Cameron Curl, I think, is a good pickup. I think it's an upgrade. They're not paying him hardly any money, 6.5 rocks. That's not a lot for a starting safety. Do they need to bring back in Johnny Johnson? I'm willing to go with Russ Yeast. I think Quentin Lake is going to be the slot guy like he showed last year. I think Kobe Durant's going to get first shot at the boundary corner opposite Darius Williams. I would like to see, with this extra money, can we extend Ernest Jones? We need a defensive leader now, right? We need a defensive leader. So that's something to think about. Who's the defensive leader without Aaron Donald? It's got to be Ernest Jones, right? So hopefully we can extend him. All right. I think we got it all in. No new questions. Hey, guys, thank you so much for clicking on. Thank you for all the support. Thank you for everybody for clicking on. Check us out on Spotify if you can. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Also, we don't do work behind a paywall here. You can check out our sponsors, Kistler Law, if you need them, and of course, Temple City Auto Repair, and my books. You want to support the show? Check out my books on Amazon. Okay, guys, I think we're good. God bless. Take care. And we will see you Monday. Unless something weird happens tonight, we'll see you on Saturday.